You've probably met someone like this. They say sorry when they ask a question, sorry when they need help, sorry when they speak too much, sorry when they speak too little. Sometimes they even apologize when someone else makes a mistake. Sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. And if you listen closely, it almost sounds like they're apologizing for something deeper, not just for what they did, but for being there at all. The strange thing is, many of these people don't even notice they're doing it anymore. It has become automatic, a reflex. But habits like this rarely appear out of nowhere. They usually begin somewhere much earlier, somewhere quieter, somewhere most people never think to look. Imagine a child sitting at a dinner table. They want to say something. Maybe they're excited about something that happened at school. Maybe they want to ask a question, but before they can finish their sentence, someone interrupts. Not now. Stop talking. You're being dramatic. Why do you always make everything difficult? It doesn't always sound cruel. Sometimes it sounds ordinary. Sometimes it's said casually. Sometimes it's said with frustration. But to a child, moments like this leave marks because children are constantly trying to answer one silent question. Is it safe for me to exist here as I am? When the answer feels uncertain, their brain begins to adapt. Some children respond by becoming louder. Others respond by becoming invisible. And some learn a quieter survival strategy. They learn to shrink themselves. Not physically, emotionally. They begin to soften their voice, shorten their sentences, hide their needs, and eventually, they develop a strange little habit. Before they speak, they apologize. Sorry, can I say something? Before they ask for help, sorry, I know you're busy. Before they express feelings, sorry, I might be overreacting. To the outside world, it looks like politeness, but inside, something else is happening. Because when a child grows up feeling like their emotions are inconvenient, they start to believe their existence might be inconvenient too. And once that belief settles in, it quietly follows them into adulthood. You might see it in the workplace. Someone who writes an email like this. Sorry to bother you, but could you please look at this when you have time? Even though it's literally their job to ask. Or a friend who says, sorry if I'm being annoying, when they're just talking normally. Or someone who apologizes for crying while they're already in pain. Sorry, I don't know why I'm like this. Pause for a moment. Think about the last time you apologized. Was it really because you did something wrong? Or because you felt like you took up space? For many people, apologizing becomes a way to soften their presence, a way to signal, I promise I won't be a problem. I promise I won't take too much. I promise I won't make things harder for you. And the brain starts associating apology with safety. If I apologize first, maybe people won't get angry. If I apologize quickly, maybe they won't reject me. If I apologize enough, maybe I'll still be accepted. But there's a hidden cost to this, a very quiet one. When you constantly apologize for existing, your mind slowly begins to believe you should be sorry. And once that belief settles in, it changes how you see yourself. You become more careful with your words, more cautious with your needs, more afraid of being too much, even when no one around you is asking you to shrink. And the strange part is, people who apologize the most are often the ones causing the least trouble. They're the listeners, the helpers, the ones who think about everyone else's feelings. But somewhere along the way, they learned something painful, that peace in the room mattered more than their voice in the room. Here's something interesting. Many people who apologize constantly can't remember exactly when the habit started. It just feels normal, like breathing, like blinking. But if you pay attention, you'll sometimes notice a deeper pattern. They apologize most in moments where they feel emotionally exposed, when asking for reassurance, when sharing a personal opinion, when expressing sadness, because those moments carry an old fear. What if my emotions make people uncomfortable? And once that fear exists, the mind creates a simple solution. Apologize first, soften the moment, reduce the tension, shrink yourself just a little, and over time, that strategy becomes part of your identity. But here's the quiet realization many people eventually have. Apologizing for existing doesn't actually make people value you more. It only teaches your brain that your presence needs permission, and that belief can slowly drain something important from your life, your sense of belonging. Because belonging doesn't come from making yourself smaller. It comes from allowing yourself to be seen without apologizing for it. Think about the people you feel safest around, the people who make you feel comfortable. They don't constantly apologize for being there. They speak, they laugh, they express feelings, they take up space naturally, not aggressively, not selfishly, just honestly. Now imagine if the version of you that once learned to apologize for everything had grown up in a different environment, one where someone said, "It's okay to ask questions. You're allowed to feel this way. You're not a burden. You matter here." That small difference could change everything. And maybe this is the moment where something shifts. Because once you notice the pattern, you begin to hear it. The automatic sorry, the unnecessary apology, the quiet reflex to make yourself smaller. And when you notice it, you can pause, just for a second, and ask yourself something simple. Did I actually do something wrong? Or did I just feel like I existed a little too loudly? That pause matters, because the goal isn't to stop apologizing completely. Apologies are healthy when we truly hurt someone, but there's a difference between apologizing for mistakes and apologizing for being human. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to feel things deeply. You are allowed to speak. None of those things require an apology. And maybe the quietest form of healing isn't becoming louder. It's simply learning to exist without saying sorry first.